So I'd like to welcome Stephanie Benedetto, who's CEO and founder of Queen of Raw, and Anshu Gupta, who's founder and director of Goonj. Thanks so much to you both for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
So I'm really excited to have this conversation. My mother is an avid sewer, and so I was actually just visiting my family in Minnesota, and there are scraps of fabric everywhere in her house. My former childhood bedroom, we now refer to as the craft barn, and she's a quilter, and there's scraps of fabric. So I'm really excited to get to talk to you guys about upcycling in the textile industry and ways to avoid waste in that industry. So thanks to you both for being with us.
Thank you.
So Stephanie, I would love to start with you. We're talking about the circular economy today. What does that have to do with the textile industry, and why is that such an important attitude to have when we're talking about textiles?
I love that you called this circular economy because the key word there is economy. This is an economic principle, and I think I'm really passionate about how we can build massively powerful solutions that make sense for people, for planet, but also for profit. And so when you're talking about that waste that your family has in their own homes, add that up when you're also talking about enterprise customers, and it's to the tune of $288 billion a year worth of unused fabric that just sits in warehousing, collecting dust, or being burned or sent to landfill. And by some accounts, that textile industry and all that waste is the #2 polluter in the world of clean water globally, right? SDG 6. But if you flip that, it also means that fashion, textiles, supply chain has the power to solve the world's water crisis if we rethink how we do things. And that's why we've been really excited to build software and marketplaces to help businesses find all that waste and then do something with it. Reuse it, resell it, recycle it, with a record and proof of their actions. And by doing that, some of our enterprise customers have saved 15% of their bottom line in just 1 year, just by finding and selling this waste. And not only that, they saw 3 times the conversion rate in their online direct-to-consumer business just by talking about the good work they're doing. So that's what it means to me, and I know together we can change the world.
Thanks so much for sharing that with us. For our audience that might not be familiar, tell us a little bit about Queen of Raw and why you started the company and what it is that you hope to achieve.
My family has been in the fashion and textiles business for over 100 years. In 1896, my great-grandfather came over on a ship from Austria. He landed at Ellis Island, and he settled into the Lower East Side of New York, the original Jewish garment district. He was an immigrant chasing the American dream, and he had to make a living. So what did he do? He found materials and supplies nearby, old fabrics and furs and things immigrants had brought over on the ships with them, but they weren't using anymore. And he repurposed them into the most beautiful fashion garments, and he sold it to local customers. And it was an incredibly profitable, successful business. Now, he didn't talk about it as circular economy. At the end of the day, that's very much what it was. And that's truly inspired how we think about the technologies that we're building. How do we build massively powerful software and marketplaces to help businesses do just what my great-grandfather did and empower everyone from enterprise companies to people like your family, students, makers, crafters, and quilters, so that they can reuse, resell, and recycle all this waste, keep it out of landfill, and turn what would be pollution into profit. And to date, we've already saved over 1 billion gallons of water, and we're just getting started. Really proud of that because it's enough clean water for 1.4 million people to drink around the world for 3 years. So,
wow, yeah, I can definitely say after witnessing my mother, quilting is a great way to reuse unwanted fabric. She's got boxes all throughout the room of different color palettes, so when she needs a certain color, she can go in and find the little teeny tiny piece that fits with what she's working on. Anshu, I want to bring you into the conversation. Your model focuses on exchanging material for labor and skill. Tell us about why that is important for Goonj.
I think the most important part is the circular economy, to be honest, comes later. What the world is not realizing is the need of clothing itself. When you say that half the world does not get 2 meals a day or 1/3 of the world, whatever the number, okay, it's in billions. With a very narrow vision, we think that people are hungry, which is absolutely fine. It is visible. What we are not understanding that the people who are hungry also do not have access to the basics. And basic, when I say, I talk about clothing also. Right? You talk about 3 basic needs of humankind, you say food, cloth, and shelter. When you talk about MDGs, SDGs, you will never find clothing written as a subject. So I don't know how we ignored it, how we forgot that clothing is a very basic need of humankind. There is abundance, but there's also a huge amount of need. So when we talk about upcycling, when we talk about circular economy, I think the first part of the circularity is that it goes to the people who need it, who desperately need it. In many, many countries, you have more deaths in winters due to lack of clothing than earthquake or floods.
Wow.
And we are not understanding this as a subject, right? It is, so when we started years back, so now it's been 24 years of this work, we only focused on this particular basic need. We said people suffer due to lack of clothing. People get into a debt cycle forever because they need clothing. Today, I mean, if you have bread here and if I'm not wearing any cloth here, there is food, there is cloth. The first thing which I'll pick up is cloth. But people like us are not understanding that. The other thing, the cloth has always been a disaster relief material or a charitable subject object. I mean, you need a flood to be flooded with clothes. Why so? So we said that it needs to move out of charity, because charity kills dignity of people, right? And it can be used as a currency. The barter economy can come back, where on one side you have the urban, underused, unused retail chain wastage, which still has life, and the optimum utilization has not happened. On one side, that is a currency. On the other side, it is the wisdom of the community. So community will decide that they need to make a village road. They will make a road, and they will be rewarded in kind. So barter economy is revived. Dignity is maintained. Fine. Decision-making is in the hands of last person. So that's the whole model of reviving the barter economy by using second-hand goods we're doing. Whatever is left over, whatever is non-usable, is converted into products and hundreds and different kind of products. But we are not upcycling for the people who can pay a huge amount of it. We're actually upcycling for the people who cannot afford. So old torn jeans, instead of just becoming a fashionable bag, can also become a school bag for millions of kids. Fine? I'm carrying something. I wanted to carry a pack. What is this? It's your own cotton, torn, used cloth, which is the best possible, cheapest possible sanitary pad in the world.
Right.
Right? Millions and millions of women are using sand as jute bags, rugs, rags, cow dung, anything and everything.
Yeah, that's
Then
not
going
clean.
Yeah, and this can become a solution. So what I'm saying is that circularity means first, let's take care of the basic need of humankind as cloth itself, as material itself. And then whatever is not usable, use it for the larger population of the world, not to sell just in the shops of New York or New Delhi. That's the whole idea.
Exactly. That sounds like really the true meaning of the circular economy, right? You've got all pieces of it coming back around. Stephanie, I want to talk a little bit about scale. How do you think about this issue, whether it's, informing new vendors that Queen of Raw exists? How do you get your name out there and get companies to be thinking about this as something that can be successful at scale?
I love that you use that word scale, because I think for so long, people thought about sustainability and the circular economy as a nice to have, right? And that it wasn't scalable. It was only good for little pilot projects or little eco-conscious collections. But in order to drive massive impact environmentally and economically, we need to build solutions that are massively scalable across industries and around the world. And so when we first started Queen of Raw in 2018, we would go around in the New York City fashion district to all the big brands and retailers, tell them about our solution. And a lot of times we ended up only talking to the sustainability departments. And don't get me wrong, they are your brand champions. They're incredibly powerful, probably even more today than ever before. But at the time, they didn't have a lot of direction in the business, and they weren't fully integrated. They didn't have a budget. And fast forward to today, of course, these issues have become a top priority for every C-suite around the world. What we have since seen is that we need the participation of all the C-suite in order to bring out that change. We need the CEOs setting the corporate agendas, the CMOs doing the marketing and the storytelling, the CFOs who deal with this waste and financial liability every day, the COOs who deal with the operations, supply chain, procurement. And when you get all of them in a room together, and when you show them massive technology that can help them automate and scale these solutions, it's a win-win-win for all their stakeholders. How do you say no to that, right? And so we spent a lot of time building really powerful partnerships in order to drive that scale on a national level, on a global level, but also on a local level. During COVID, we formed the New York City Circular City Initiative. It was backed by the NYC EDC. We joined with H&M, Unilever, Cisco, Goldman Sachs, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and a number of really powerful organizations. And we created a white paper that's available on circularnyc.org, showing how many good jobs could be created and how much money could be saved and made by New York City going circular in the coming years. And not just about what laws need to change on the books. It was about, here are the solutions like Queen of Raw that can help businesses offset that coming legal liability and drive true change. And I think we need more of those kinds of cross-industry collaboration and partnerships with now the technology of blockchain and machine learning to really be able to drive that change and communicate it to the world.
And I think, more and more you have employees of those companies too who want to see that. My family apparently is just obsessed with fabric, but one of my cousins is a designer in New York, and that's something that she struggles with in the fashion industry is, okay, I'm working for this major designer. What role am I playing in this? What role can my company be playing to make this more sustainable? And she's really thinking about her future in that industry and the ethics behind it.
Everyone can be a part of it. We deal from 1 yard to 1 million yards plus, right? We're all part of the problem, but also all part of the solution.
Anshu, tell us a little bit about the reaction from the communities that you work with to, be able to have these opportunities where they have the dignity to do these projects, improve their own circumstances while also contributing to the circular economy.
When you value people for what they are, the moment they feel valued, they're a part of it. So what we are saying is that we need to stop the words like donor beneficiary because you need to take people as a stakeholder. Mm-hmm. And this is very ironical that when I give time, I am a donor, and when the community gives time, there is still beneficiary. Mm-hmm. When I put my skill, I am a donor. When the community puts a skill, there is still beneficiary. So that language has to change. I think in the last 2 decades, we have just done that. We've changed that language. We go and we say that we don't know how to dig a well, fine? We don't know how to weave bamboo to make a bamboo bridge, fine? And I'll not come with a solution of a concrete bridge, fine, because that's not in my hand, but you know it, fine? You work on it. If I give you a trouser today and come tomorrow and say it is mine, you will say it is yours. But when you make your own road and you get a trouser and I come and say it is mine, you can say that it might be yours, but I've earned it. Mm-hmm. So we're changing that language. And that is the reason people are becoming a part of it. And there are very few concepts where the decision-making is in the hands of people for whom decisions are made, mm-hmm. right? Otherwise, people like us go and say, every village will have a road. No, they don't need a road. Maybe, their priority is a water body or something. That's why it is accepted, fine. It brings dignity to people for sure, because we are not sitting on the top and then talking about it, or we are making decisions on their behalf. That is why it is accepted, fine. They have a sense of earning. They have a sense of respect. That's why it is accepted. We are also, saying that it also creates a huge amount of employment, right? Because imagine the hundreds and thousands of people converting hosiery into undergarments for all the people, converting jeans or trousers into bags for all the people, converting this cotton cloth into sanitary pads. So that's how this entire ecosystem which is building up. And that's why it is acceptable. And I think because this is a new way of doing it. It's not a top-down approach.
Exactly, and I think that's something we heard from our speakers this morning as well, right? Is how the entire development industry needs to be flipping that mindset of I'm the donor, you're the beneficiary, I know, you don't, I tell you what to do.
No, I'll just one more point. What we have been arguing from the day one, that whenever we say we are donating cloth or utensil or footwear, whatever we have, that itself is a wrong notion. I mean, if I have used this for, say, 4 lectures or 3 months, with what right I'm even saying it, I'm donating it? I'm actually discarding it. I need to be thankful to the person who is using my second-hand goods, because that's the person who is the keeper of my emotions, my hard-earned money, the time which I took in a mall to look for a nice shirt or t-shirt. So, and that's the reason it is accepted, no other reason. So people are actually not working for that family kit which we give to people. That's just one small part of it. People are working because their problem is solved and the dignity is maintained.
Exactly. Well, I think that's a great way to end. Thank you so much, Stephanie and Anshu. Please join me in thanking them for their time today.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.